So for my book, I read Wringer by Jerry Spinelli, and it's like a really interesting book about internal conflicts. So there's this boy, and he's really young to have such an internal conflict. He's like 9 and 10 throughout the entire book, but he has a conflict, and he really doesn't fit in with his community. His entire community participates in this event every year, and he just doesn't agree with it, and it makes him really uncomfortable, and he doesn't know what to do because his dad is really into it, and he has this group of friends, and they persuade him into getting into this event and pull him into uncomfortable situations because he doesn't want to express how he's really feeling, because if not, he's an outcast. And I think that the theme of not belonging in this book is really heavy, and throughout you can see how it affects the main character and how he doesn't really know what to do and feels like there's something wrong with him, almost like he doesn't know how to feel. And finally has a breakdown because he's been hiding all these emotions and hiding all these secrets and feelings and not being able to feel belonged, and him and his friends have been going through something, and they figured out kind of that he was just going along with them, and they decided that that wasn't okay. And his friends immediately turned on him and were extremely angry, and he was nervous of this. So it's a very tense situation with these really young boys, and all of a sudden he has this breakdown. So towards the very end of the book, he said, they stared at him waiting. He saw the foot grinding the ball, the name into the sidewalk. He heard the scream, heard it coming a split second before the others heard it. The scream he knew had been growing inside him for a long time. He planted his feet and bent his knees and balled his fists and let it come all the way out. No nothing, no treatment, no ringer, no swats. He thrusts his scream at Beans. I'm not Snots. My name is Palmer. My name is Palmer. He stepped back. He hurked down. No. Then he ran. It's this really intense moment where he's fighting with his friends, and it's been his entire group of friends who can't imagine that they won't support this event and that he's not into it, and they think he's such a wuss and how stupid he is, and he's friends with this girl that they like to make fun of, and he just can't get along, and he can't win, and he has to feel so left out in this book throughout the entire thing. And another thing I would like about this book is the descriptiveness. So even though it's not necessarily a super advanced book and it doesn't have a lot of hard vocabulary or anything, it does use really descriptive words. So like, for example, it says, a pinch on his earlobe woke him. He opened one eye to find an orange button staring back. I just think it's like interesting how the author's able to describe things in a certain way that you can really build the image in your mind, and it really drew me into the book and made me want to read it. And this was honestly one of the first books I've read this year that I really wanted to read, and I read it a lot faster than all the other books, and I thought it was extremely interesting. And if you read this book, the whole story behind it and the thought process that the author had to go through for this book seems extremely wild. It's just very odd. It's a very interesting story, and it's very well written and super descriptive and paints a vivid image in your head. But the background behind it would have been weird. It's a very creative idea, and I think that's important, and I've just never read a book that had anything like this or any sort of similar themes, and I think, like I said, the self-conflict thing is a really interesting thing that is easy to grasp onto and easy to relate to, and not feeling like you belong necessarily. So I think this was a very good book.